And shifting focus to Canada, whereas the world battles record inflation, Bank of Canada, central bank there, has surprised everyone with a full percentage increase in its policy rates. It's a super-sized hike, which is last seen in 1998. Now, the bank has cited higher and more persistent inflation and increased risk of those price gains becoming entrenched now.
Today we raised the policy interest rate by 100 basis points, 1 percentage point. An increase of this magnitude in one meeting is very unusual. It reflects very unusual economic circumstances. Inflation is nearly 8%, a level not seen in nearly 40 years. I want to explain to Canadians why we took this decision. There are three key considerations. First, inflation is too high, and more people are getting more worried that high inflation is here to stay. We cannot let that happen. Restoring price stability, low, stable, and predictable inflation is paramount. Second, the Canadian economy is overheated.
And the central bank, in a regular rate decision, raised its policy rate to 2.1% from 1.5%. It also said more hikes would be needed. The move was more forceful than 75 basis point hike economists and money markets had forecast. Now, analysts say this is an impressively wide hike by Bank of Canada, and it's an important move. It shows that bank is willing to deviate from what the Fed has been doing so far. Others added that Bank of Canada rate rise of 100 basis points clearly means they were very far behind the curve, and so they are trying to catch up in a hurry and not get into a situation where we have a whole series of inflation positive surprises. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau has also reacted on the rate hike. He said bank is working very hard to counter inflation.
Of course, the Bank of Canada makes its decisions independently and is working very hard to counter inflation. At the same time, however, we have to highlight, as I said earlier, how the Canadian economy has recovered and bounced back from the pandemic. Faster than the United States. We've recovered 117% of the jobs we lost since February 2020, when the United States has only recovered about 96% of the jobs lost since the beginning of the pandemic. We know there are global forces at play, whether it be disruption in supply chains, the war in Ukraine and the challenges around energy from Russia, whether it be the pressures of climate change, whether it be disrupted supply chains. These are things that we are working hard with our partners around the world to counter, to prevent.
WION now available in your country. Download the app and get all the news on the move.